Alright, now it's time to work on the arms. I've left this thing's really kind of bugging me a little bit. I've left the legs all kind of broken out here, so it kind of appears like it's half finished and not finished. But what's really important to me is that you're really getting a sense of the different approaches. So I'm going to leave it kind of as this kind of Frankenstein, but preface it with saying, you know, my workflow would be a little bit different in a final one. So here we are going to work on the arms, and I should mention also I've made some adjustments. I pulled in the tensor fascia latae, I pulled out the great trochanter, I separated the thighs and made sure to pull this in a little bit, and I made the knees larger, which is just to emphasize the thinness of this character, this creature. So now arms, that's the last part that's really unfinished, and when it comes to the arms I'm going to do something in between the vagueness of the lower legs and the more specific attributes of the upper legs. And we're going to probably stick somewhere closer to how the torso is done, which is just simplified major forms. So in terms of the simplified major forms, you know, you've got the sphere for the deltoid, you've got a simple cylinder for the bicep. Okay, you've got a couple of different ways you can look at the forearm. You look at it as though it's a tapered cylinder. That's one way. You can look at it as though it is a oval with a rectangle kind of jammed up in there. That's another way. And you can also look at it as really just the whole thing is kind of this box that you kind of engineer and add elements to, like the the ridge muscles, the flexors coming out of the bottom. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, and all of them are valid, so I'm going to keep it kind of simple for now, and we'll kind of pull from everything. But the first thing I want to do is what's really a technical problem. I want to get in and build the bicep, or not the bicep, but the upper arm as a simple shape. But I'm going to have problems doing that with the torso right there. So I want to make sure you're aware of how to work your way around these kinds of problems. So first element is to make sure you have a polygroup. And we do. But the polygroup is not ideal in my book, because what I want is a polygroup that's going to extend all the way to the rib cage. So I need to find a way to extend that. And luckily, there's a really cool way to do it. So this is another new thing I'm going to introduce you to. You see, everything's getting introduced within context. So you go to Visibility, select this arm polygroup. So it's Control, Shift, click on it, and then you grow the selection. This is easier with a lower polygon model, but it's not that bad here. Just go to the point where they start to descend. So I'm at that point right there. And then we go to polygroups, and we're going to say group visible. It's as simple as that. We're just creating a new group. So Control Shift click, and there you go. Now turn polyframe off, and now I can come into that group. Control Shift click. I can use the clay brush, and I can build up from the edge. Okay, and when I'm building, keep planes in mind. So while this is definitely a cylinder eventually, right now I'm thinking about this in terms of a up plane, down plane, side plane, all of that stuff. So keep it basic for now. So I'm going to look at this from the side and start to build up that side plane. Start to build up that front plane. Start to build up that back plane. Okay, trim dynamic, and I'm going to emphasize the planar quality right now. It's a good exercise to get into. The ability to just quickly get in and establish planes, and the right planes is going to be really important. Okay, just like that. Smooth it out. I'm pressing Shift right now. And that's going to naturally give me the cylinder. Some areas it's going to be easier than others. I'm really having to work the shift on this corner, but in the inside corner, the topology is kind of primed for it, so I don't have to work as hard. Okay, looking down here at the back. Ultimately, in terms of the anatomy, the tricep does this really wonderful thing. So we're going to have a bulk for the tricep. Okay, and then the tendons and the muscles of the lateral form of the tricep are coming down and connecting into the head of the ulna there, what's known as the olecranon process. So in this case, what I want to do is just pull this straight in, and that means that I'm going to do that with my cube. So right where I've drawn this green line, that's going to become a point that I carve in. So Alt, wrong brush, let's go to clay, carve in, and start to really close the tricep into the olecranon process there. Just get that tapering. It's one of the ways that, you know, your knowledge starts to slowly advance, and you start to simplify steps. Okay. We haven't done anything with the lower arm yet, but we're in okay shape. So, let's see the whole thing. Alright. We got ourselves a nice little shape with the bicep, and we got a little bit of anatomy notes in there. Let's do a quick thing. I'm going to check my measurements, so let's go move. Just from perspective off, since we rotated him around. And check and make sure. I think my units is off. Yeah, there we go. Preference, I'm going to set that to 1. It is off. And now I'm going to find the ulna. Basically, I'm finding from the acromion process, bony landmark, to the ulna, 1.5 heads. Just wanted to make sure, and I'm roughly there, 1.55. I'm not going to sweat that. So there we go. Alright, now in the next video, we're going to look at how to start to integrate the deltoid in. So I want to look at the muscles, the forms, and how I'm going to get control over that shape.